decide. Oh, and as far as the eyes can see, I'm worried. Worried about the mothers and the babies. Get those got me worried. Worried about the elderly. Get those got me worried. Worried about the brothers and the sisters. It's got me worried. Worried about you and me. Say, in this dispensation. A very pleasant good evening to you and welcome to Jamaican Explosion. It's yours truly, Pastor Rob, with you on a beautiful Saturday evening coming out of Metro Atlanta. Pastor Rob on the ones and twos today. And guess what? It's just good to be here with you this evening. This evening, we got a very excited show planned this evening. We have Mr. Copeland Forbes coming up in a couple of minutes. We're going to be speaking to him here on the Jamaican Explosion stage. And I have a co-host with me today. Nadine happened to be off, but we have Miss Yvette Taylor Reynolds, and she is the president of the Atlanta Jamaica Association, and she's going to be my co-host on the show today. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in right now. Yvette, how you doing? Welcome to Jamaican Explosion again. Yvette, how are you doing?
I am doing good, Pastor Rob. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you this evening.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. And you know, you're always welcome as a co-host here on Jamaican Explosion. And it's always great, good to have you. Just let me know what's been going on with the association. And anything good coming up? Anything good that you want to let us in on today before we get started with our guests?
Absolutely. We have a full year plan for our community here in Atlanta. We just recently completed what we refer to as the inaugural Marcus Garvey Lecture Series, which was presented by Stephen Golden from Jamaica. He's the president of the UNIA. It was very revealing the impact that Marcus Garvey had in the United States as well as back home. We had a decent turnout, and that's a planned annual event which we will work on for 2025. Upcoming for the Atlanta Jamaican Association, we're participating in the Taste of Mableton, which is a parade highlighting the Mableton community as well as various other parts of the world diaspora. The Jamaica is highlighted as a country, and the Atlanta Jamaican Association will be representing the Jamaican community as well. We also have a High 5K run where we raise funds to support clinics in Jamaica, and that will be on May 11th. And we do have our annual Independence Ball coming up on August 10th, which promises to be a celebration. 62 years of independence, which we gained in 1962. So the number in itself is very, very important. So those are some of the upcoming things. And then we have a monthly meeting each Saturday or second Saturday of each month. So that's kind of a wrap of what's going on.
Yes, Yvette, I'm looking forward to a wonderful year. Just getting started, and the Taste of Mableton, I believe that's next Saturday. Ah, so we want to make sure that everyone come out and enjoy that, and we'll have some more information on that as we go along today, of course. And the I-5K run. When is that, Yvette? And so folks could start getting, if you
That's
haven't
on
started.
that's on May 11th,
Mhm,
and registration is now open for Atlanta. It's a 5-city event
mhm,
spanning approximately 4 states, all happening
mhm.
at the same time. And it's the brainchild of our Consul General to the Southeast United States, Oliver Mayer. And this will be the fourth staging. It's the people in Florida, they're so involved because, that's where he's based. But we here in Atlanta has been doing this since it started, and it's getting bigger every year. Registration right now is $35, and all of the funds raised goes towards a doctor in a clinic in Jamaica, which is needed based on our hospital system there.
Very good. Thanks, Yvette, for filling us in. And yeah, we have a very special guest with us this evening, and you might know him. And if you don't know him, I believe everyone should know him. Okay, and everyone probably have heard about him. But we're glad that he stopped by here at Jamaican Explosion to speak with us this evening. And it's none other than Mr. Copeland Forbes. And I'm gonna tell you, this gentleman has been the manager for almost all the great artists. And when I say the great artists, I mean all the greats. We're speaking about the Wailers, we're speaking about Luciano, we're speaking about Dennis Brown. He's been manager, tour manager, all different sorts of manager, and he has agreed to come on here today and share the history about himself, because he's also historian, and he's a historical figure himself. And we are just pleased to have him here with us this evening. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on to the Jamaican Explosion stage none other than Mr. Copeland Forbes. Mr. Forbes, how are you doing today, sir? Welcome to
Boy,
Jamaican
is
Explosion.
I think it's the first time I've ever been have such an introduction by a pastor. You know, so I know that I'm in good hands, like Allstate Insurance. So it's happy to have me here, and I'm really pleased that I could share this time with you and the fans and your followers. And I listened to what the lady had to say, and yes, I'm right here in Florida, and I have seen that event being advertised a lot. So it's a very, very historic thing she was talking about in the marathon and the 5K run. So, but I'm here to share my expenses, all of my experiences, to talk about a little, not just me, my country, the music, its culture, and some of the historic artists that I shared my journey with.
Yes, indeed. And when you say some boy, it's like an understatement when you say some, because I am totally impressed, and I find you to be a pioneer uh, within the reggae music industry. It's it's almost like you were there from the start, but you're still here today.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. You were there from the start, the beginning of this thing turning from rock steady over into reggae. Speak to me about that. Being there.
Well, I'm gonna precede what you just said. There was before Rocksteady, there was ska.
Yeah,
And before ska, there was Mentor and this New Orleans sounds that we used to copy back in the early 60s, listening to WINZ and all those stations from New Orleans and Miami,
yeah.
right? So I actually started in the business in 1962. The 15th of December 1962 is when
Mhm.
I entered the music fraternity,
Yes,
right? And I entered it by with a group that I had named the Harmony Cats, which
yes.
was a that was formed while I was in the Boy Scouts, because my scoutmaster, Mr. Robert Blackman, everybody knows him as Serby, right, was a musician in terms of he played at the Moravian Church and a lot of churches all over. So he was a very, very good keyboard player, and he taught us music. And out of his hands came quite a lot of Boy Scouts who turned professional, like even Jackie Jackson, who is
Mhm.
the leader of Toots and the Maytals band.
Yes.
He was a member of that Boy Scout troop along with myself. To Tabby Diamonds, the lead singer of the Mighty Diamonds,
And
came out of that era too. And you have Bagger Walker, who was bass player at Studio One, was one among many others. So I started way back then, right, from the early 60s, and my group was the Harmony Cats. Then I switched over to another group and formed a. We were both basically playing harmonica. We were taught the rudiments of that. So four of us were in the group and professionally playing it at birthday parties and all kind of music seminars around Jamaica and so on. Before I shipped over to a dance group named the Coasters, right? And we got a little more exposure because we were affiliated with the Mighty Vikings band back then, who
Okay.
played at Sombrero Club, Dingo Club, and all up at UWI. So we got some international exposure then in Jamaica, right, before I migrated.
Mhm.
So it was a great experience for me, both in the Boy Scouts, who played a great role in my life, because that's where I actually learned so many things from. And the fact that my scoutmaster was a music teacher, and I attained all the highest ranks in Boy Scout. I was a Queen Scout with the Duke of Edinburgh Award, Gold Awards, and that gave me a lot of things. Here's a picture of me in my Boy Scout uniform.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right.
I
You
see you.
know,
I see you. I see you
yes.
representing.
So
Yeah.
it was a very interesting start for me. And by being a Boy Scout, it opened a lot of gates and doors for me,
Mhm.
not just in the entertainment business, but in other areas too,
Mhm.
because of that, you see it in the book where I was selected to be the official card opener for
Yes.
Princess Margaret when she represented
Yes. Yeah.
royal
Yeah.
family at
Yeah.
our independence celebration. And then I was also selected to be the official card opener for His Imperial Majesty
Yes,
when
I
he
saw
came to
that too.
Jamaica, right? Here's a picture of it here with me opening his car door at the stadium, right?
Okay.
My
Yeah.
Boy Scout there,
Yeah.
right there, opening his door.
And it's
So,
Awesome. Awesome.
a picture
and
in
then
the book too.
that, yeah, and going through that same route, it enables me with more things, like being not just in the music business or in the Boy Scout. It pushed me into areas where I became the youngest mayor of Kingston, right? See me there inspecting the Guard of Honor
I saw
at
you.
the Kingston Fire Brigade Department. So it gave me all these opportunities to excel in every different direction. And what was great about it, because I came from a very humble beginning.
Mhm.
I was born in Jonestown,
All
grew
right.
up
All
in
right.
Ghost Town and Trench Town, you know.
Wow. Wow.
So so a lot of people, when they read the book, and they say Trench Town, because Bob made that popular song Trench Town,
Mhm.
and all the greats came from there. Everybody wanted to know what was Trench Town like. And since
Mhm.
you lived there, you was
Mhm.
a part of everything there. Give us a story of what Trench Town like. So it put me in a great position, to
Yeah.
talk about, and people are excited that I wasn't afraid to talk about my humble beginning and things we went through. Because it's not where you're coming
Mhm.
from, it's where you're heading to. But you have to know where you're coming from before you can know where you're heading to. So it was a great thing for me, and give me a great opportunity.
That's great, sir. And I'm so I am amazed at you that you still cherish your Boy Scout memory
Yes,
and
yes.
your experience, and actually as your launching point from for and that's good going out to youths now. Youth
Yes,
that
yes.
youths that might be out there today, and they need to find a good organization to learn from.
Hmm.
Boy Scout is so good word in there today, Mr. Copeland, for the Boy Scout.
Yeah,
Okay.
man, definitely. A matter of fact, they invited me last year when I went to Jamaica to the
Yeah.
official dinner up at the Boy Scout headquarters.
Yes.
And they oh my God, they throw flowers at me because I'm still here to show the youths them, because most of the youths in Jamaica now, I
Yes.
mean, when they come from school, they have nothing to do. I joined 9 youth clubs during my time. So
Wow.
I was always being occupied doing something constructive that can help me in the future to be self-reliant and resourceful. So they honored me that day, so the youths can see here's a man coming from literally in the ghetto, you know
Yes. Yes.
with 12 siblings, poor, and here he's still here to share with us all
Yes.
his great experience. So you can do it too.
Yes.
You can do it too,
Yes.
'cause here is a live and living example of what it is, and so on.
Yes, yes, yes. Very good. Thanks for that. To go now to the youths. But as we get started now, how did you actually begin as a manager? How did management begin to you? I know you were an artist before, uh,
Yeah.
and an actor.
Hmm.
And I read that you were an actor too. And
Yeah.
actually had some good acting roles in some very famous movies.
Yes, here's a French Connection movie that I was involved in. Right? See, right there in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And this movie won 5 Academy Awards.
Yes, yes, yes.
5 Academy Awards, and it was a great honor for me then, because I was living in New York at the time and walking down 57th Street and saw this building, 20th Century Fox. So me and some of my friends who used to dance on where it's at was walking and we said, let's go inside here. And we are looking around at pictures and we're acting like we're actors. And a gentleman came up and said, hey, where you guys from? And we said, we're from Jamaica. You guys ever been in movies? Sure. What's the movie? The Pantomime. Where do you act? At what theater? We were, and he said, "Oh, they're screening for people for an upcoming movie. You guys want to try out?" So we went up to the 10th floor. When we got there, we saw nearly 1,000 people filling out forms. And the fact that we had a West Indian accent, we figured that we would never stand a chance,
Yeah,
to get selected. So
yeah.
they give you a little script to read, right? And you have to act it, and then when you're finished, they said, okay, we'll get back to you. So we walked out and said, that's one of those things. And then after about a week or two, I went home and my sister said to me, my big sister, some fox place keep calling for you. Some fox, I don't know this fox. And I couldn't figure what fox she's talking about when she gave me the number and the person answered 20th Century Fox. Said, oh, that's the movie. And said, who's this, Mr. Forbes? Yes, we've been trying to find you. You have been selected for the movie because when they read my autobiography, I mean,
Yeah,
I've never performed in a pantomime in Jamaica before, you know, but you have to just say these things,
yeah, yeah.
right? And then I was selected, and it was a great role for me, I mean, as a start.
Okay, so Mr. Copeland, a lot of people don't know then you probably was the first Jamaican movie star.
Exactly, exactly,
And
because
we didn't know about it.
right, way before Jimmy Cliff,
We don't Jimmy Cliff,
yeah,
you were
you
the
know,
original.
yeah, so
You were the original.
right. It opened doors for me because I did three other movies named Groove
Yes.
Tube, Goodbye Baby, and one named 40 Carats starring Liv Ullman. So it gave me a great wide, to move in so many different directions. I even went to Fred Astaire dance school to learn tap
What?
dancing because I was doing that at the Apollo and all the other places within my performance, and so on. So it was a great experience for me.
Wow, wow, wow. And Yvette, you heard what he said? He was dancing and where it's at. Remember where it's
I
at?
know, I know, I know. I remember that. But
Remember where it's
he
at?
also, I
Go
remember,
ahead.
yes. But he also struck a memory for me because as a child, I lived in Jonestown with my mom on Front Street. And I remember those days, we talk about humble beginnings and where we're at now. And then the fact that you were a member of so many youth clubs. I identify growing up in Westmoreland afterwards. I worked with the Social Development Commission, forming youth clubs in rural areas, which has helped many youths. So I can definitely identify with where your path has taken you. So great, great job.
Yeah, man. Thanks. It really did. And
Mhm.
then I became a figure for the youths in the ghetto, and a lot of youths in the ghetto started joining Boy Scouts and coming to youth clubs and be a part of these activities in the evenings after school. So there was no time to go sit on a corner or anything like that. You're still learning to be self-reliant and resourceful and prepare you for the future.
Okay, wow.
Absolutely.
And if you're just joining us this evening, we're speaking with Mr. Copeland Forbes, and he's a global tour manager, tour artist manager, reggae historian, and we're just glad that he stopped by here on Jamaican Explosion this evening, sharing a little bit about his history. And I want to ask him, how did you get started now in the reggae arena?
All right, yes, because I didn't get to finish how I became a manager, but you start in the reggae arena
Right.
first, and then you became a manager. So while I was performing with my groups and traveling overseas from 1967 when I went to the US, I was 1968 and then 1969, and then I went to New
Mhm.
York to live now, and so on. Uh, there's a group named the Mighty Diamonds,
Oh
which
yeah.
was hot back in the 70s. So
Hmm.
a promoter friend of mine in New York named Ken Williams,
Hmm.
right? He wanted to bring them up to New York for a concert. So
Okay.
he said to me, since been in the business so long, sent me down to Jamaica when I realized that the Mighty Diamonds were my schoolmate and in my scout troop, you know. So it was easy for me to relate to them. And they had just signed with Virgin Records, which was run by Richard Branson at the time. He was just a
Okay.
little 23, 24-year-old boy at the time, and this was 1976. So I actually started working professionally in the business in 1976, right? Managing the Mighty Diamonds, right? And taking them up to New York, where they played at the Hunters College,
Yeah.
and took reggae music concerts out of club circuit into concert halls,
Mm.
so people can see it professionally done. And that opened up a lot of doors and a lot of gates for me. And then I remember now I took them to London, to the UK for a UK tour,
Yes.
right, in promotion of their album titled The Right Time. They had an album, Right Time,
Yes.
right? And
Mhm.
I took them there to promote that album too. And boy, that was a hell of an experience for all of us. Because
Yeah.
when I went now, I took the band from Channel One, near Sly Dunbar and the Revolutionaries,
Yes, I
which
remember
had
that.
all the big
Yeah.
stars, Lloyd Parks, and Chiller
Yeah.
Smith and Ansel Collins. We took them with us as the band back in the artists. And boy, we set a pattern in England that nobody has ever seen. I remember the first concert at the Lyceum Ballroom. All the local bands, musicians were lying on the stage with tape recorders, trying to tape slide down bars, roll, and all that stuff, and taking pictures of what he does and things like that,
Yeah.
and it was like exciting for me. But the one that almost drove us crazy is when they put us on a rock concert in a place named Reading, and it's a rock concert at 98% white rock folks,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
here we are from the Caribbean coming with a music named reggae, and these people come to see rock because the headliner on that concert was an artist named um, the Sex Pistols, right? Johnny Rotten and the Sex Pistols, which was a big, crazy group. So when we started and the diamonds ran out, and Natty Dread will never run away.
Yeah.
Natty Dread will never run away. Marcus Garvey. We start seeing some things coming through the air. I didn't know what was it until I realized some were white and some were red. And I realized that people were throwing tomatoes and eggs at us, you know,
Wow.
and they were coming to the stage like in tons. It's a good thing that I watched the American football, 'cause I was a wide receiver on stage running from one side to catch the eggs and tomatoes before they burst in somebody's head or something like that. And I remember I went to catch an egg and a big tomato fly to the right and hit Hansi Collins, the keyboard guy. And you're looking at 60,000 people. Man, what are you doing? You don't even know who it's coming from. So everybody wanted to run off the stage because Tabby looked at me. But then Sly said, no, we're not going to leave them. We're going to give them some rhythm under them shot, make them hear Jamaican music. So we stayed our ground. And
Yeah.
by the fourth song, it subsided. That we said, I wonder if they came to make an omelette out of us because they come with eggs and tomato, you know. And then everybody start jumping to the music and dancing to the music, man. So it's like we passed the hardest test of time to get to the international stage. So that kind of opened up
Indeed.
the doors for me now, handling grooves, because that went all over the UK,
Yeah.
and the Diamonds career start moving up, and then when Peter Tosh started his solo career,
Yeah.
I was asked to work with him. I didn't even start it out as a road manager or a manager. I started out with Peter as a personal assistant,
Mhm.
right? And it was Sly and Robbie who recommended me because they knew my background. They knew I'm very well grounded in knowledge of the business and how to deal with artists. And he wants a personal assistant to take care of all his personal needs, get him to his interviews, what he's going to say when he's go to different places. So I was given that task, and even to prepare his food. And when I realized this man don't eat food well cook with salt, them eat ital. And being a Boy Scout, I've never cooked ital yet, So it was a challenge for me. I remember one time we were at Martha's Vineyard doing a concert, and he went out on the lake to catch fish because he loves fishing. And he brought back a whole bunch of fish about 11 o'clock and said if I could steam them with some crackers and okra. I didn't know how to start. So I called my mom in New York. Mom, I'm going to steam some fish with crackers and how do I do it? And she instructed me. And then she said, then you put the salt. I said, no, no, no salt. She said, what do you mean? You not know? I said, no, they don't. He doesn't eat salt. He eats ital. What is ital? Let's not go down that road. I was able to overcome that. So I
Yes.
was doing all of that. I was going along, and at the same time, I was doubling as a MC for the concerts. Because everybody liked the way I introduced the acts them. Because I
Yes.
did it a lot with the Mighty Diamonds, and everybody loved it. Introduced a history about their path up to their presentation in a
Yes.
short space of time, musically. It was nice. I was doubling doing all of that. So I moved, from a PA to an assistant to road manager to a full-time road manager to a tour manager,
Wow.
putting tours together, and then to a
Yes.
personal manager, and then I just keep going. And then I said, with all this history that I've gone through over the years, let me put a book together, with
Yes.
all the history that I've gone through and what I've experienced. So young ones come along can learn and see as a good thing,
Yes.
because what happened, a lot of artists that I actually manage have passed in the last 10 years.
Yes, they are.
More passed in the last 4 years when the COVID come in, and
Mhm.
some of them I used to say, put your memoirs together, especially John Holt, I used
Yeah.
to sit down with him when we have day up on tours. You need to write your memoirs, you need to do it, but they don't get no time. So as bad as they say COVID was, it helped to create some good things. I give you downtime to do other things,
Very.
and that's how I was able to finish this book, which I started in 2002 when I celebrated my 40th anniversary. But touring all over the world and doing so many things, I didn't have time to sit down. So the COVID time kicked in. And from 2018, 2019, I was able to sit down with my co-writer, Clyde McKenzie, and just do the stories and write them down and think. Everybody's wondering, how did I have the memory of
Yes.
60
Yes.
years stored in here?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So to speak. But you see, I show you some of the things that people marvel that I still keep a lot of these paraphernalias and
Right.
memorabilia, to authenticate some of the stuff them that I talk about.
Yeah.
So
But
it's a
let me
great start for me.
but let me ask you this question, because you're talking some greats to us, and what was it like working with Peter Tosh at that time?
it, it was a great experience for me. But what I found out that Peter is the
Yeah.
most misunderstood person
Wow.
in Jamaica, right?
Mhm.
Because he speaks very intelligent. That's
Mhm.
one thing. If you sit and do an interview, you don't understand everything. But people think he's arrogant. He's not. He talks about the things for his people. He rallied for the legalization of marijuana. And people thought it was just about smoking, but it has medicinal value in it. And he has been preaching that in his songs and so on. But he was even brutalized and beaten by the police for a little spliff in halfway tree. And now look at it now. Marijuana is legalized in so many places. You have medical marijuana that people are using too and so on. And so, you just look at it. But he wasn't, he's a man, he
Mhm.
called a spade a spade. You
Right.
know,
Right.
right. That's the thing I liked about him. He called a spade, and he's a straightforward person. He's not going to talk in different terms and things. He comes straight to the point. And when you sit with him, you learn so much from him that you look at it and say, boy, he's so highly misunderstood, and people think he's arrogant because he's always getting in. I used to tell him, Peter, in this world, you're not going to see equal rights, right? Because yes, he's preaching for equal rights. But
Yes.
I say if we get equal opportunity,
It's all right. No, I
we
like.
will excel and demand our rights,
Oh,
right?
I love
And
that.
you
I
can
love
see
that.
it's happening right now. I
Yeah.
mean, years ago, you would never see so many black African American, in so many great positions.
Right.
It was always dominated by one set of people because we never got the opportunity. And
Opportunity.
once you give us the opportunity,
Okay.
we will use that to excel and show our strength and power so we can demand our rights as we go along. Look how many black millionaires we have now in the world,
That's right.
and
That's right.
most of them is earning from either sports that
Hmm.
people never know you could earn and be a millionaire from playing football, from playing ping pong or anything like that. And here is it now because we got the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Mhm.
sir. Yes, sir. So, tell us about, because the Whalers, the Whalers. And I know
Mhm.
you were with Peter Tosh, but you were also with the Whalers for,
Yeah.
right? Hmm.
Well, you know something. Let me go back a little. Bunny Wailer, right, and myself and Master Griffiths and the original techniques with Slim Smith and Frederick Waite, who is the father of the musical youth. We all went to school together from we were 5 years of age,
Mhm.
right? And we gone from prep school to primary school, and then Bunny went on to All Saints School. Me and Marcia and the rest went on to Kingston Senior, which is now Kingston Junior Secondary, and we come out of, I mean, Jonestown and Annaton was so close by because Marcia lived right across at Oxford Street from Chatola Park School and William Street. So we were that's like one community there. So
Yes.
when everybody went to different schools and branched out and start get the mid-teens, we start realizing that we're all coming back together via the musical route.
Mhm.
Because when we were at school, Bunny wasn't really a real singer, he was more a dancer. He
Oh,
was a
really?
fantastic dancer. Marcia was a songbird from school because she
Wow.
always sing in the choir and everything like that, and
Yeah.
so on. So when the Wailers formed back in '63, right, it was a great honor for me because they lived in Trenchtown at the time. And I had to pass where they were rehearsing at nights to go to my house.
Yes.
And I remember going home one night and I hear this song, these people singing, singing, singing. And when I went over into this yard in Trenchtown, because the yard them open up and thing, you can move from one to the other.
Yes.
I saw these 5, 6 guys singing. And when I look, I said, Bunny, his name is Neville Livingston, never named Bunny Wailer yet.
Yes.
I said, Neville, and I said, wait, Neville, you sing? I said, yeah, man. And I sat there and I watched them singing and rehearsing. And I said, wow. Eventually, when they start to get big and some of the stuff you see in the movie now that's coming up,
Yeah. Yes.
they call themselves the Wailers.
Yes.
But
Yes.
before they call themselves the Wailers, they call themselves the Teenagers,
Oh,
right?
really?
But they realized that there was a group in America named Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
they dropped that. And then they call themselves the Juveniles. And then Bundy said, but when we get big, we can't with juveniles, again. And then one of them came up and said, boy, when we sit at night singing, it's like we're wailing, wailing. So they decided to call themselves the Wailers,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
So when they went to Coxon now to record their first song, Simmer Down,
Yeah.
right? And they told Coxon that their name is the Wailers. Coxon heard the song,
Mhm.
loved the song, but they took them
Yes.
2 times to go there,
Mhm.
so to speak. Loved the song, but he didn't call them the Wailers because Coxon was a member of the farmer program back in the 60s and he used to travel overseas.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
realized that there was a group named the Wailers from in the 50s, a white group,
Yes.
right? Here is a group name,
Whalers. Yes.
right? So what he called them, the Wailing Wailers,
Okay. All
right?
right.
Which is a great difference from the Wailers
That's right.
because copyright control and registration is
Yes.
very important in this country.
Very good.
So he called them the Wailing Wailers, and they recorded their first album, and this is a list of the songs that they recorded, right? Their first list of songs that they recorded, and they came out as the Wailing Wailers. So I worked with them in 1973 when they came to the US to do a tour in support of their album Catch a Fire,
Yes.
right? They
Yes.
had just finished a tour in England, the
Mhm.
first tour, and then they came to the US because I was living in the US at the time to do that tour.
Mhm.
Well, Bunny Wailer quit the group after the first tour in Europe. He had so many personal issues and things, and he decided to quit,
Mhm.
right? He tried to get Peter to quit, but Peter's girlfriend Yvonne forced him and said, no, 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 let's go and do your work. So when they came to the US now, the guy named Joe Higgs, who was their tutor, who
Mhm.
taught them to sing, harmony structures, and groom them, he filled in for the missing Bunny or Neville,
Yeah.
right? Bunny Livingston, no way like that. Bunny Livingston, right? Fit in for him, and then he toured the US. I was introduced to them when they came to New York, opening for Bruce Springsteen at a place near Max, Kansas City. I was introduced to them by a journalist named G. Fitzbartley, who used to write for newspapers in England, in Jamaica. And then Bob asked me one question. He said, what month you born? I said, August. He said, what date? I said, the first. He said, oh, you're like Marcus Garvey. You must be leading. You're a Leo. He just was giving me that. And I joined the team then and worked with them on that US leg of the tour. And it was an exciting thing for me because now you're learning more about the two Sedekahs. I didn't know Peter before the Wailers. Peter was born in Westmoreland and he came to Trenchtown then, but
Right, right.
the other two I kind of knew them a little before and so on. So it was a great experience for me travel with them on this US tour, opening for people like Bruce Springsteen and a group, one of the biggest funk group in America in the 70s, named Sly and the Family Stone,
Yeah,
who
man.
had those major big hits,
Yes.
you know, and
Yeah.
we were touring with them as an opening act until we got to Las Vegas when they kicked off the group off the tour because they felt that the group wasn't professionally enough. People have it about the Wailers was burning up tracks. Well, for Sly and the Family Stone, it's the other way around. Sly and the Family Stone had hits, number one hits on the Billboard charts, dance to the music, you know, and all this kind of thing. And I want to thank you for letting me be myself again. So they were big. So you couldn't be burning tracks. They just felt that this little back to front group, that's what they called our music then.
Mm.
Back to front music, right, is
Yeah.
opening for us, and we are this big star. So they got up early one morning and drove away and left everybody stranded. You know, you see it in the book too, stranded in Las Vegas,
Yes,
you
yes.
know, and it was out of that came the will and strength now, that Bob and Peter decided that, you know, we're just gonna mold ourselves together and carry on the work, you know. And by the time they got to the West Coast on October 19th, the second album was released,
Yes.
Burning, and they had to be touring with that. And then when they went back to England to
Hmm.
tour on the Burning album, after that tour, Peter Tosh quit. So Bob was Peter Tosh and the keyboard player Wyatt Linda quit. So Bob was just left with him and the Barrett brothers, you know,
Hmm.
Carly and Family Man, you know. And the fact that when they signed with Island, they signed under the moniker of Bob Marley and the Wailers. When people are talking about is Chris Blackwell break up the group and push Bob up front and say Bob Marley and the Wailers. When they were at Coxon, they were using the same name. And when they launched it on their own, using their own label, they were using Bob Marley and the Wailers. And when they signed with Island Records, they used the term Bob Marley and the Wailers. Here's their contract up the top there. You can see the Bob Marley and the Wailers written right there, right? With their names there. You know, you can see it right there, right? So they signed under that name. So when people publishing things on the internet and saying the wrong thing, and the young ones come up and believe in it, you know, I mean, it's not, it's incorrect, you know. And then from then on, Peter went his solo way. Bob continued by recruiting some other musicians and the I Trees, which consisted of Rita Marley, Judah Moore, and Master Griffiths, to fill the harmony structure part. And then he just went on under the same name of Bob Marley and the Wailers, even though he had a new contract
Yeah.
constructed when he got a new manager at the time named Don Taylor, who reconstructed the contract to fit the new image, but the name was still the same, carrying on. You know, so it was an experience for me working with them because as a group, I know what happened. And when I work with them individually now,
Yeah.
and I can sit with them one on one to
Right.
hear whatever happened when they break up, what was the reason and things. So when I'm coming to talk now, I'm talking from a group standpoint and individually what they all said about it, you know,
Okay.
and you know, it's plain as ABC.
Mr. Copeland Forbes with us this evening on Jamaican Explosion. And boy, are we getting a history. Yvette?
Indeed, indeed. I'm just sitting here so struck and, just
Wow.
listening. Because, growing up, you hear parts here, you hear parts there, you read
Yeah.
this, you read that. But hearing it from your mouth, Mr. Copeland, is wonderful. And also understanding the sequential steps that took us to where
Yes.
we are today. So this is just riveting for me, eye opening and just as I would say, mellow. Just make it
Yeah.
feels good.
And I know, Mr. Copeland's going to bring us up further, but I just want to ask him this question. The movie that is out right now, the Bob Marley movie, what do you think of it? Do you think it's a good replica? Yeah, yeah.
All
Uh,
right. I have watched it 3 times,
okay, all
right? And
right.
the first thing I must say, the two main events that is a highlight in that movie, I was present there in person and
Okay.
I see everything. I
Yeah.
didn't read it in a magazine. I don't go on social media. I saw it with my own eyes and was right there. Um, it's a good movie,
Yes.
right? Professionally done.
Mm-hmm.
It will open a lot of doors for other acts and for companies to come in and make documentaries. So Jamaica will get another boost in this economy from all aspects and so on. The
Yeah.
only thing that creates a little this mix up in my head, some of the scenes I am told it's made for movie,
Oh,
which
okay.
wasn't really that, but it's a Hollywood style, and I'm being told, remember, it's not a biography of somebody's true story.
Mm-hmm.
But the young ones, I went to see it before I went down to Jamaica, right? And
Yes.
I went into Jamaica in the 50s. I went to see the day it was open. And
Mm-hmm.
when I came outside the theater, you know what I saw? Families with
Yeah.
their kids who weren't even born
Yeah.
when he even died, much less during his time. They weren't even born yet,
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I said, wow, the majority of people going knows nothing about Bob Marley's life or anything. So they're seeing something for the first time. So to them, yes, it's a great story. It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
This was nice and this was nice. But for me, that's why I didn't want to make no public comment. I just, keep everything to myself and just watch to see how things are going to progress. And yes, they said it's made for Hollywood, and
Yes.
Paramount and all these people
Mm.
have the rights to do whatever they want to do. They can take out this, take out that. But before the movie was even officially released, it was criticized heavily
Yes.
on social media, and I saw that and I said, wow, one journalist almost dragged me into it, because the person called me and he asked me a question about a previous manager with Bob. And the question was, do you think a movie about Bob Marley should be complete without Danny Sims, who was the guy that brought Johnny Nash to Jamaica? And he was the manager before everybody. And I said, no, because I couldn't say it's complete because Danny Sims played a great role in the early stage of Bob's career. And when Bob was sick and I had to cancel all his tour, he was staying at Danny Sims' house in New York, and I was there too. So he was there in the beginning and there in the end. So, I don't think a movie about him would be complete without talking about Danny Sims. And the person add some things to it under different gender, because a woman named to the story, right? And yeah, and said that, said something that I said about something with Cindy Breakspear and all that stuff,
Oh
which
boy.
I never said anything about that. And almost got me into that. I had to call them quickly and tell them pull it down because it's contradicting, and I was not the premier, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't there when they were doing the thing, so I cannot be used to say I say this and I say that and I say that. So I had to correct that quickly before it got out of hand. And I'm happy that I did, because a lot of people, when they saw the correction, sent me emails from all over the world and said, whoa, I was shocked when I saw what you said, but now that it's clear, now I understand now and everything.
Yes.
And I was happy that I did that.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
so basically, out of you're here with Pastor Rob, and Pastor Rob's gonna put you on the spot every time.
Hmm.
Out of a 10, what do you rate it? Give me a rating.
No,
Out of,
it's a great movie. I would rate it way up there,
yes,
8, 9. The reason for that,
that's good.
um, nobody, not even Bob's children, can replace a Bob.
Mm,
Right? Bob is Bob, and there will never be another Bob Marley. Now, the guy that started, I was in England 2 years ago, and he's the star of the play that they have over there in the West End named Get Up, Stand Up.
okay.
And most of the people who were in the movie, especially the
Mhm,
lady and him, were in the movie, in the play too. And
mhm,
what I saw displayed in the play, when I came back to Jamaica, I spoke to some people connected, especially Never Garrett, and said they spoke about and replayed some stuff that wasn't the true fact. So make sure when they're doing the movie, they know that. For instance, Master Griffiths was never there when the shooting thing happened because she got a vision the Wednesday, right? And
mhm,
told Bob that she feels something is going to happen. This is before the shooting thing, right? She
mhm,
said she got a vision and she told Bob something is going to happen, so he shouldn't do the show. And he decided that he's still going to do it. And she faked sick and flew out the next morning, right, to New York,
mhm,
right? And the shooting thing happened the Friday, you
mhm.
know. And if you look at an interview that Bob did with Gil Nobles in 1980, right,
Yeah.
when Gil Noble asked him about it and
Mhm,
if he knew the person who did it, he said yes, but not at the time. And then he said that the Wednesday when he left rehearsal and went home in Bull Bay. He got home 3 o'clock in the morning. And when he went to sleep, he got a vision that gunmen invaded his house and his mother got shot. And when the guns were firing, he heard a voice said, "Son, don't move." And he said during the incident at Oak Road, when it happened, that's what came back in his head. When he heard the voice, "Please, please, son, don't move." And he said he stayed his ground,
Mhm.
right? And his mother got shot in the head in the vision, but it's Rita who got shot in her head when she was trying to drive out
Right.
of the compound, because I went up there. Incidentally, I was with Don Taylor few hours before the incident happened in a
Mhm.
meeting at the Sheraton Hotel. And I went to see my mom around Walton Park Road. And I said, after the rehearsal, it's going to be too late to go around there. 1976, things were a little touch and go in Jamaica. So
Mhm.
I went to see my mom early and then headed now up to the rehearsal. And I heard it on the radio what was happening. So, the movie, you know, plays some different roles here and there, but it's a movie for people to enjoy. The
Yes.
replay of some of the scenes were great when they reconstructed the Hope Road, because it's not like that now. It's a museum there now,
Right.
and a few things there. And the actor himself, you can see that he sat and did a lot of studying of
Yes.
Bob and all that stuff, and Faye Ellington was the speech director for all of that movie.
Right.
She
Yeah.
went to England and sat
Yes.
with them and coached them and everything. So it's a good movie, but it's not the real true fact
Yeah.
of the man's life, so to speak. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
So cause they did one in 212, which say his name Bob Marley. You can pick it up now free
Yeah.
on Netflix. Right, and that has even more details than even this one. This one concentrates just from 76 to 78.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's during that time now, the whole thing with Miss World and Bob,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
out of that relationship came Damian Marley
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, but because one of the things that I've heard, and someone that knew we were coming on to the program today begged me to ask you this question. Begged me actually say, is a movie without Cindy Breakspear actually a true replica of Bob's life?
Well, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
They said that this is a Hollywood made movie,
Yes. Yes.
right? And just to let you know that now, in the last 2 weeks, I heard that all the stuff that were filmed and taken out when it released is gonna put back in it, but
Okay.
not for theater, right? Where it's gonna come through. I think they said Amazon are one of them, so you can buy it now and see everything that was filmed. Because even in clips of the Whalers in England were done with Bunny Whaler's son representing him and other people, which was taken out.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say a movie without Cindy is not a true story, because what about the other women then?
That's right.
Right? There are many other women,
Hmm.
that were in Bob's life during that time.
Hmm.
It's just out of the relationship between Bob and Cindy came the great Damian Marley.
That's right. That.
And he's among one of the biggest attraction in the world.
Hmm.
So when I saw on internet people were describing her in so many different ways, I said to the person who was interviewing him, I said, if they take out her clippings as a result of what I see people saying on the internet and it's a true fact, then it would have be a backlash, because you can't, the thing that was saying that this was irrelevant. You can put in her inside, you could have to put it in, and she can come out now
That's
and
right.
make our own movie too,
That's right.
right? Because she has inside thing that most people may not have, just like how the other movie star girl is working on her thing too, who was in Bob's life. Because there was a lot of women in Bob's life, so it's not just she alone. So I don't know why everybody's coming down on her, because people is just looking at that. And I think it's because the period of the film is from 76 to 78,
Yes.
right? And that's the time when he was involved with her. Damien was born 78, right? She got her Miss World,
Mhm.
76. And for people who don't know, it's not just how they met. They met before Bob exploded, because she was living at Hope Road, which was owned by Chris Blackwell, right? And Bob was up there rehearsing. So it started before she even got Miss World. That when she got Miss World in England, they were titling them The Beauty and the Beast,
That's right.
right? As
Right.
a catchline for the media and all that stuff. But I mean, all of them played a role in Bob's life. And if you look at a clipping that is out there now, I mean, the reason why I don't feel good about Cox's portrayal, that never existed at all with a gun.
Mm,
Coxsone was never the man with a gun with artists, right? He
yeah,
was the one who actually encouraged them to get married, and he undertook the expenses of the marriage. And Rita said it with her own mouth. You can see it on the internet. I think they should more display that instead of displaying him as a toting gunman, which never ever happened at all. No way, because I used to be up there to myself. I never saw anything like. Yes, he would punch you out if you and him have an argument, because he had the greatest left hook, and that's why they call him Jackson, and he call you Jackson, because he punched out Joe Higgs. That's why it wasn't Joe Higgs who took them to the studio. It
mm,
was Seeker Patterson. Joe Higgs couldn't go back there because him and Coxsone wasn't seen eye to eye too good. If you look at Joe Higgs' eyes, just Coxsone did that. That's what Joe told me. You know.
okay. All right,
So
Mr. Forbes. Okay, I don't want you to spend all the time just talking about Bob and so forth like that, because there's another one of my greats that I want to hear you talk about, and that's the Crown Prince himself, who is dear and near to my heart. As a
yeah.
as a young boy, even though you see I'm a pastor right now, don't worry yourself. I was a reggae selector for many years.
Hmm.
So Dennis Brown played a very big part in my youth, growing up. So tell
Hmm.
me about Dennis. Tell me about.
Okay. I knew Dennis from he was 9 years of age. When I was in the Boy Scout at All Saints, he was in the Cub Scout at Central Branch. So I'm going all the way back then. So
Yeah,
I knew him in his growing up before he started singing. And when he
yeah,
started singing, especially Silhouettes, which he did for Derek Harriott, he was
yeah,
on stage shows here and there and performing and so on until he was coming up in the entertainment business. And you could see that he had the talent. He had the best charisma in music. I can tell you that. Bob
yeah.
Marley look at Dennis Brown and said, "That's my favorite artist." When
Right.
Bob can say that. So I managed him in and out over a few years.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, Dennis have a magic in him.
Yes.
Dennis is the only artist ever give me heartache and headache, right? And you're upset. Him turn up late for a show, him don't show up, and you have to fight to be out and fine. And when you see him just say, "My brother, I messed up. I must be whipped with many stripe. I must be," and he give you that smile, and it over and done. You can't vex with him. And I have had some serious, serious thing with him, getting him out of the contract with Joe Gibbs and getting him a new contract with A&M. And that was a fighting task for me. I was crossing the Atlantic many times,
Mm,
going through. I remember put him on a plane in Jamaica with a cassette for his demos for A&M, because I got him out of the contract with
mm,
A&M and they want to sign him directly. And they asked me to get a name producer because they didn't want to work with the Jamaican producers I was working with, because they were doing things that were unethical, right? And I put him on a plane and I go on the waving gallery and wave him when he go up the step and see the plane door long, close, and it's off to England. And the next morning, the record company called me from England and said they went to the airport and he was on the plane. I said, "You mean he wasn't on the plane? Him jump out in the air?" You know. And when I investigated, the plane went via Miami and he came off in Miami, right? I went to a friend's house, to spend some days. So he would do some little things here and there, but he had a charisma
yes.
there
Yeah.
that was just magical, you know. And I think he was one of the most loved artists
Yes.
out of Jamaica, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm proud that I was able to work with him.
Yes.
He wrote some very good songs. I mean, my gosh, All the Promised Land was wrote at a sound check in
Yeah.
Holland when Steel Pulse was just playing the rhythm, and he wrote the song on top
Wow.
of that rhythm there. So it's a great experience. It's a pity he had a bad habit,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Which everybody knows. I'm not going to go into it. He
mm.
had a bad habit, and I think that played a great role in his demise, because then he had lung problem too. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
I remember seeing him a few months before his passing. It reached a point where I had to let go of the management. I couldn't handle it no more because it was getting too crazy.
Yes.
And I think he was surrounded by too many yes people and people who's not steering him in the right direction, so to speak. I have to lift my hat to Brother Maya from New York, who was right there with
Yes.
him,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
yeah, in
And,
everything that he
you know,
does.
I
But he's a
know,
great human being.
yeah, I know Maya too from 12 Tribe. Yeah.
Yes,
I know.
yes, that man was right there for Dennis. I tell you, he would give his heart out for Dennis. You
Mhm.
know, he loved him and he wanted to see success for him, and he was the one beating away all the negative people around Dennis.
Yeah.
And so on. And but bless his soul, he's a nice person. I remember when I had to fly to England to get him for a show in Jamaica.
Mhm.
right? That it was heavily advertised, Reggae Jam Boogie with him and Third World Half Pint and the newly formed 809 band with Dean them. And somebody pinched me and said, then it's not coming. When Freddie called me, I said, I think you should go to England for him. I said, Freddie, this is New Year, Christmas Eve, and you're telling me to fly to England to pick up a man? He said, listen, it's better you do that. It's a good thing I did. Because when I catch leave Jamaica Christmas Eve, I arrive Christmas morning, Victoria Station, and take a taxi, go straight to him house. And his wife said, I haven't seen him in 3 days. And that story in the book, you can read it. Oh, I had to get him
Yeah.
down to Jamaica. And
Yeah.
you see, the night when him did that show in Jamaica, the police told me, Trinity told me, that they arrested 13 wanted men that night at the concert because they know everybody going to come out of them hole to go see Dennis. So they arrested 13 wanted men that night at the concert up at the National Arena. And as a result of the Dennis Brown show.
Yes, 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 ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking today on Jamaican Explosion with none other than Mr. Copeland Forbes, manager extraordinaire, that worked with so many different of the great artists that came out of Jamaica during the reggae era. He was around from the ska rock steady days, and still around now. And that's where my question is going. I know you have worked with some of the later artists, such as Luciana,
Mm.
and you might want to tell us a little bit about Lucia. I know, and ladies and gentlemen, the book is called Reggae My Life, autobiography, Reggae My Life. And I'm going to tell you, it is quite a read. I can't believe that this man worked with so many of the great artists, and he has like one chapter written on each of the artists. So, and it's just history within the making. You are a historian in life right here before us. Yes, so Luciana, tell us a little bit about Lucy.
Well, I'm going to make it short because a long 15 years I spent with him. I've never worked with one artist so long yet.
Okay.
But when I first met him, it was a heartical connection, a spiritual connection,
Mhm.
because he had that spiritual vibe with him all the time. And
Mhm.
that's what grabbed me because I was brought up that way with my parents. So it was a great experience working with him. You can see in the book, that I spoke about a few things. At first, he didn't feel nice about it, but in the end, he said, "Listen, it's a true facts. What can I say? He
Mhm.
lost a lot of opportunities. He even said in the last interview, if he had known that Eddie Murphy wanted to do a song with him, he would have helicopter landing on the roof now. And if Jimmy Jam, you know that Jimmy Jam wanted 5 tracks for him for a movie, which turned out to be the movie How Stella Got Her Groove, and he lost out on that too. So he had some great opportunities,
Yeah.
and he lost a lot of them. Some of them, it wasn't his fault, his management at the time, right, who thought differently. I mean, he got an opportunity to appear on Good Morning America,
Yeah.
right? And he wasn't there. And when I saw the write up that he wasn't there, I was pissed off. And when I spoke to him, he said nobody told him about it. When I checked with the management said, well, we're not getting the money for that. I said, to appear on Good Morning America in the US 2 weeks before you do your first US tour is a plus that. So opportunities like that he lost out on, you
Yeah.
know. And but some other things when he pulled away from the management, me and Dean was steering the ship for years, and then certain things started to happen behind our back. We didn't know of what was happening until certain you run into a contract controversy. You know,
Mhm.
5 different people have the same contract simultaneously and all that stuff. And it was getting too crazy for me, so I had to step out, and leave it alone. People said when you stepped out, it's like thing chain. After I stepped out, Dean stepped out too to
Mhm.
concentrate on Taurus Riley, who was a budding artist coming up and thing. And I think Luciano realized that in his latter days that yes, he had the greatest people around him. He
Mhm.
made some errors and he admitted it and so on. And we are still good friends. And I have him on a lot of projects coming up, especially the Master Group, its 60th anniversary
Wow.
celebration in Africa. He's one of the artists them that is there too and so on. So we maintain a good relationship. And his songs had so much substance. I
Yeah.
remember him doing a show in West Palm Beach, and my mother was there, and he brought my mother on stage, when he was doing a song, about "Sweep Over My Soul," and he brought my mother on stage, and she was standing there. It's in the book. You see the picture in the book with my
Yeah.
mom,
Yeah.
and there is paragraph that name, "Lord, give me strength." You
Yes.
know, so it's a great feeling for him there. I mean, I spent years managing Master Griffiths too, and the electric
Yeah.
boogie and electric slide is something
Wow.
that I participated in,
Yes.
helped to promote it. I even sang on the song. I did background vocals on the electric boogie that you're listening to now. I
Yeah.
did the harmonies myself, my son, and Marcia's nephew, who is Skip Marley's father now, Danny. And so we played a great role in all the artists them that we play. But that electric slide, electric boogie thing is a great thing that ever happened to any artist, and it's
Yeah.
still relevant up to today. And that song was made in 1983,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and still relevant today. So it was a great experience working with all of them. Jimmy Cliff was
Yeah.
another great
Yeah.
experience when I took him to South Africa. In 1980, that was another experience that in the book too, you can read it, where I almost ended up with Robbins Island alongside Nelson Mandela for something that happened in Cape Town, and I didn't even know that if the God was with me, and
Yeah.
I repeated Psalms 121 and 91 at the airport when the thing, everything just work out and thing and so on. So it was a great experience for me working with all these historical artists.
Yeah.
Third world, I can never stop talking about third world. To
Yeah.
them, I was given the opportunity to take them to some countries, some whale countries, And during my journey, I was able to go to places like Thailand. That reggae music has never happened yet. And I met a billionaire guy who's the brother of the guy who owns Chelsea Club. His name is Abramovich, you know.
Wow.
So it gave me a lot of opportunity. And I think for all that I did then, and the government decided to acknowledge some of the work, and they gave me the OD. Here is it with me and the Governor General at King's House receiving my OD.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, rightfully
Congrats.
deserved. Rightfully. You are a walking historian when it comes to the reggae. We can't do this in one sitting. I see.
Yes, yeah. Everybody said the same thing,
You
like what you said. One sitting
can't,
cannot. 'Cause
you know,
I don't reach halfway of
yeah,
the great stories. Then,
I know. So I will definitely have to have you back to continue here. Wow.
Yeah, man.
I believe, sir, that you should be going on tours. You
Let
know.
me see if you're thinking what I have on paper and put
Uh,
that action already.
yes, yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yes. You should be going on tours, just booking out places to just
speak.
uh, Yvette,
So
And I are just here, and we're just mesmerized by
I'm
all that.
mesmerized, Pastor. If I
Yeah.
may, having experienced Stephen Golden last week and
Mhm.
experiencing this week, I'm sitting here. I'm like, what a great combination that would be. You see what I'm saying, Pastor?
Yeah,
The
yes, yes,
reggae
yes,
and
yeah,
Garvey, just like they
yeah,
do in Florida, but from a different aspect.
yes, yes. Well, we're
So it's
definitely
a
going to
good
have to
plan.
have Mr. Forbes come up here to Atlanta. Now,
Yes.
that's without a doubt. Now, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, man. I
Yeah,
am always pleased because I do a lot of PowerPoint presentations around. I've done it in Australia. I've
mhm,
done it in Thailand. So what we did 2 years ago when the book was being launched, we launched it in Spain at a big reggae festival
yes,
named Ratatam Festival in front of 25,000 people,
mhm,
where we took the Revolutionaries band. With Lloyd Parks, Earl China Smith, Dean Fraser, and they made a 70-minute presentation on stage. And then the next day we had what is known as Reggae University, where another 3 million people was watching and viewing around the world. So what you said earlier on, I will tell you that now.
yeah,
Release it. You
yeah,
give it a pre-release. I definitely have a tour put together, which is going
yeah.
to call the Reggae My Life is Tour, setting the record straight. And lots of the
Woo!
artists who are in the book are going to
Yeah.
be on the tour in different areas because we can't
Oh,
carry everybody all at once. It's too many to
yeah,
carry one time. Like the East Coast, we have a certain set. West
yes.
Coast, we have a certain set, and we
Woo!
mix it up and things. So it's in the making, and it's because reason why I couldn't do it this year earlier is because see, my hand is still in class. I fell off a stage in
Oh, sir,
Jamaica and
so
broke my
sorry to
hand.
hear. Yes, I read
Yeah,
that.
and my back was broken too. Well, not broken, almost broken. So I'm still on the healing process, and the
Yeah.
bone is not healing back together. So they're contemplating doing surgery, which
Mhm.
is what I am scared about. I keep waiting and giving it time. So next time I go back, April 23, they'll make a final decision. It's up to me what I want to do. to do the surgery. But what they tell me they have to do, scared, put a plate in, screw bones together, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. It drive me nuts at my age, young boy.
Well, Mr. Forbes, it's been wow, a blast just having you here. And what a memory, Yvette, for him to be just
Yes.
rattling that off. He's not reading this thing from anything. This is coming out of a brilliant mind. And I could see why you were such a success, because you see your mind was in it, and you were present with them, and you were paying attention. You see, a lot of times we don't pay attention, so we can't regurgitate, so to speak, some things. But I could see that you were in it with them, and reading the
Mhm.
book. Yvette, I got a copy. I'm gonna send you a copy. Adrian
Okay.
is getting ready to come up from this is Jamaica. She's down there. She's getting ready to come up in a couple of minutes here. But reading the book is just wow.
Yeah.
Where's my
You got the online copy I sent you,
yes,
right?
yes, I got
Good,
that online
good.
copy you sent me, and wow,
Mm,
I couldn't put
mm.
it down. I couldn't put it down. Just to think about going from superstar to superstar.
Right.
He's not Yvette. One chapter is on Peter Tosh. The next
Hmm.
chapter on the Mighty Diamonds. The next chapter, and I'm like, who does that?
I
who gets
know, I know, I know.
who gets that
So,
kind of
so
experience?
is the book available on Amazon or somewhere?
Yes, yes. You want to get the book, you order it on Amazon, you get it within 24 hours. Trust me, they move fast on it because people are every time people see program like this and they hear some of the stories they want to do it. And when they get it, they publish it and show the picture with it and say, yes, I have it and I'm submerged and immersed in it, and learning quite a lot of things that they never knew.
Okay. All right. So this is it now, Yvette. All right, because we have to bring Mr. Copeland for Forbes back again to finish the story.
Yeah,
Finish the
man.
story. To finish the story.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
so Jamel, or Mel J, as I know her, thank you for hooking up this Mr. Forbes Copeland with us. And she told me, she said, make sure you give him a full hour because him can talk. But some people come and they just ramble along, but you come and you talk facts, you talk history, and that's what we love.
And,
Uh,
and I love to authenticate the stories. That's why I keep all these paraphernalias around when I'm
yes,
doing it so people can see what I'm saying, understand.
yes, yes, yes. Would love to have you here in person. Yvette, we're gonna have to work on that now.
Mm.
Yvette, we're gonna
Absolutely,
have to
absolutely,
work on that. Okay. Yeah.
absolutely. And promoting this book because the amount of verbal history that we just got, it's a
Yeah.
lot. And to share it with others via the book is also a great thing. Thought pop in my head. Uh, give away a couple of books or something
Yeah,
next week.
but we're on Jamaican Explosion. We gotta keep it for ourselves over there at AJ, Atlanta Jamaica Association. So we
Right.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Copeland, it's good to have you here with us. Great to have you here with us. We are praying. Pastor is praying for your speedy healing.
Yes, yes,
You
I
know,
need it. Trust me.
okay, praying for your speedy healing,
Mm.
and God bless you and keep you. And I could see that God has blessed you with a great memory, a great mind.
Hmm.
And I love what you said about the Boy Scout. And that is just a added plus because
Right.
we believe we were going to be speaking about the reggae industry and how you got started. But when you added that part about the Boy Scout and how that plays such a pivotal part in your upbringing, in your early start, that just goes out to all the youths that are out there, that let them know that, yeah, join a Boy Scout organization. Get
Or any youth club,
or any youth club, right? Very
Yeah.
good, very good. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you again, Mr. Mr. Forbes, and I'll be speaking with you
Yeah, man.
sometime this week. Okay.
And I
So
must say to tell you all many thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences with you all. Because without you, there's no me, and without the man upstairs, there's none of us.
that's correct. That's correct.
Tenestelen, Abwa, hasta la vista. In Jamaica, we say, we're gone.
Walk
We
good.
got all right. We say walk good. We say
All
walk
right.
Walk
good.
good,
All right.
walk good.
Okay,
Tenestelen.
ladies and
All right.
gentlemen, Mr. Copeland Forbes, the one, the
Thank
only, the
you.
great one himself. Okay, thank you for being here with us this evening. Okay,
Shabbat
Thanks, Mr.
Shalom,
Ford.
Gezai Gesund, Mashlamak.
okay, very good. Praise God.
Right.
Bye.
Yes, Yvette. Wow, that
Yeah,
was
that
something.
was
Huh?
interesting.
Mm,
Yeah, right from the mouth of, it's not like a secondhand experience. It was right from his personal upfront experience. So that was great. That was
yeah.
great.
Yeah, well, so ladies and gentlemen, this is Jamaican Explosion, and yes, we went a little bit over with Mr. Copeland Forbes, but we have Miss Adrian Clark and as well as Miss Nancy Fong Edwards from this the Strength to Breed, and we're gonna get with them in just a second, but we have filling in for Miss Yvette, from Nadine today, Atlanta Nadine. The Today we have Miss Yvette Taylor Reynolds, president of the Atlanta Jamaica Association, and she's my co-host this evening. And it's good to have you here with us, Yvette. You got us there spellbound for a second. We our mouths were like wide open, and our ears were just cocked. That was quite an interview right there. That's the quality things that we do here in Jamaican Explosion.
Yes,
And
I mean the level of knowledge was great. The delivery was awesome, and it was just fascinating. And as you said, you have to do a repeat or of some kind to get to the nitty gritty and the bones of his experience.
yeah, I would say kind of more like a follow up. We have to have him back again for part two. Because
Right.
yes, most definitely. All right, so we're gonna go into this is Jamaica coming up here in a second, and we're gonna introduce Miss Adriana Clark. Let's hear a few
It's
words
a
here.
crucial situation, and the babies them now turned on. Crime is in escalation. As a government, where is your plan? Can we even stand tall? Our backs against the wall. What's my sister to do when they're hungry mouths to feed? And she's carrying one more seed. It's got me worried about the mothers and the babies. It's got me worried.
Sounds courtesy of a man called Mr. Andrew Bell, one of the Atlanta favorite young stars rising. He called it "Get Us Got Me Worried." If you never hear it before, I just gave you a little piece of it. I'm going to have Mr. Andrew Bell back again in a couple of weeks, and he's going to tell us about that. "Ghetto's Got Me Worried." Okay, and here she is, Miss Adriana Clark, president of This Is Jamaica. How you doing this evening, young lady?
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, Pastor Rob and Mrs. Yvette. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I was enjoying the latter part of your interview with Mr. Copeland Forbes. So y'all are on fire. I've been enjoying it.
Yes, yes, yes. What an
You did.
individual. Wow. You know,
Yes.
someone told me that, when you have Copeland and all, you probably have to have a good 2 hours, but we could only spare an hour this time, but we're definitely going to have him back.
Oh
And
yeah.
of course, and today we have, we have Adrian with us, Adriana Clark here, and she's also the daughter of the great Bunny Ruggs. You
Yeah.
might not know, but it's good to have you here with us today. Okay. So what's
Yes.
going on? What's going on?
Yes. Well, thank you both for having me so much. And especially for allowing us this chance just to come on and chat about This Is Jamaica.
Yeah.
We are so excited because we are starting to ramp up, and we are in preparation for our 2024 poetry scholarship competition for this year. So we are just getting our mindset, getting things in place. we are working on initiatives to get students aware of the poetry competition, because our goal for this year is to have even more students sign up, do their poetry, prepare videos. We're also looking forward to, we're trying to get some more young fellas on board.
Yeah,
We tend to have more females who participate. So we're looking forward to
yeah,
getting our young guys, our young men
yes, that's good.
excited about poetry.
Yes, yes, yes. I did all that. I agree with that. Get the young men involved. You know,
Yes.
they need to be. Sometimes you gotta coax them a little bit and push them a little bit. You know, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but somebody has to do it. You know, yeah. So get them involved. We have seen quite a few of the winners from last year, and
Mhm.
most of them were young ladies.
Young ladies, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you want to see
But
the young men. Go
we,
ahead.
and as you said, just coax them a little, because if you think about, I mean, when you talk about creative arts
Hmm.
or any type of creativity, it's a place of vulnerability, right?
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
to kind of show a different, or no, another part of yourself. You have to be open to letting people see
yeah.
maybe a hidden part of yourself in your creativity. So I sometimes for young men, and it's a little harder to get to that vulnerable side, but like you're right, we're gonna push them, we're gonna push them.
Yeah, push them, encourage them. Yvette is not a stranger to the arts herself. She's a part of the Sugarcane crew that does
Oh, okay.
from the Atlanta area, and they go out and do the folklore singing, the mentos and the different things. So Yvette is a
Oh,
part of
that's
that group.
awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, get and they have a young older men in that group, but it was even you have quite a few men in that group, right?
Yeah, we have quite a few men and older adults in there as well, because they're trying to
Yeah,
preserve the roots of the culture. But we also have one young man and we have a couple young girls, and we're just trying to
Aw.
grow that. But in the growth, we have to teach them. So I understand where you're coming from, having male embrace the arts. So,
yeah,
Yes.
back in the day when I was a kid growing up in Jamaica, we mentioned earlier we formed youth clubs and we went into the inner cities. And
mm,
Mm.
from the youth club, we would get our leaders. So, apart from the schools, we also had those community outreach as well.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
It,
So
it,
Adrian,
it's
so that would be good though. You know, we want to see some male representative. Uh,
Yes.
this is Jamaica. So where are we along the line of getting things started within this year?
Yes, yes. So we actually just officially welcomed our title sponsor, which is Miss Lorraine Smith from Lorraine J. Smith Foundation. So we're excited to have her on board, welcome her, and with her foundation, I'll just give. I definitely want to have her come on the show one of these weeks. Hopefully very soon, because she
Yeah,
has a lot to say. She has been doing a lot when it comes to social work, and also with mental health, behavioral issues. She deals with psychology. So her foundation is very much rooted in creating a a better life for individuals all around, not just children, adults as well, within the home, discussing mental health. So we're super excited to have this partnership with Lorraine J. Smith Foundation, because alongside with creating a better households, better mental health. With our children, with adults, she also sees the need and the necessity for the creative arts in that aspect, right? We've seen, there's been much talk and much known about the connection with creative arts and mental wellness. I'm sure Strength to Breathe can also talk a lot about that,
yeah,
but we know that the creative arts, especially within children, is a
yeah.
very important way to allow children creative expression,
Mhm,
emotional expression,
mm.
and just all round sound health, sound mental health. So it's a great partnership that we're definitely looking looking forward to. So with that being said,
Mhm.
we are definitely going to be starting to start advertisements,
Yeah.
getting in contact. We have a database of the schools in Jamaica that we are in connection with. So just reaching out to the schools, getting the teachers on board. That's
Yeah.
kind of one of our
Mhm.
biggest pushes is we like to get the teachers involved, the principals involved, and that way within the classroom they can stir the excitement for the competition, and can get more of a word of mouth out. So definitely we're just kind of in the beginning stages of it, but we should be releasing some, like I said, some advertisements very soon.
Mhm.
And the competition isn't until October, November. So we still have a little bit of time. So we're
Time.
definitely just getting the word out there. So that's why we're so grateful for Jamaican Explosion and other platforms that allow us to begin to talk. So now we can get the word out and start getting schools and children excited and involved.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
another thing though that I'm hoping also is, I haven't had a chance. I know Miss Lorraine has, Mr. Gracie has,
Mhm.
um, been able to meet some of the children, especially from our last year's competition.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
so I'm looking forward to actually going. Hopefully, planning a trip down to Jamaica soon. Hopefully, to go meet the children and go meet the principals, our
Yeah.
past schools
Yeah.
at Redwood Primary, Norman Gardlands,
Mm.
Jesse Ripple. So I think I'm my personally most excited about meeting the children who are almost like celebrities to me. I've seen
Yeah.
their videos, I've watched their poetry, and I'm like, oh, I just want to meet them.
No, as a matter of fact, I believe we'll take a Jamaican explosion a crew down when the new competition starts and get some live recording while we're down there. Probably even have a show at that time dedicated because we could broadcast out of Jamaica one show.
Ah,
So you just gave me an idea right there. So
boom. Okay, I love that. I love that. And even something like that, it's such a great experience
yeah,
for a young person, a child, to
yeah,
see that, hey, I matter. Hey, people are interested in what I had to say. They're interested in my creative process. That it builds that confidence. It builds that resilience in children that we want to see. Especially in these times, we're seeing. In this modern age, there's so much pressure on children, on young adults, to be a certain way, to act a certain
yeah.
way, to have a certain thing, or
Mm,
or even let's say a lack of creativity because everybody wants to be the same. Everybody dresses the same.
mm,
Everybody wants to do the same TikTok dance. But what This is Jamaica focuses on is we want to build that creative capacity in
mm.
children, especially when it comes to that rich Jamaican culture and that heritage. And Mrs. Yvette, I'm so glad, also Pastor Rob, that you brought up that you sing folklore, and that the older gentlemen join because they want to preserve the culture. We don't want we want to instill that in children now, to let
Yeah,
them see that your culture is something worth embracing, worth keeping alive, worth
yeah. Mhm.
instill that in them.
Yes, yes, most definitely. Mr. Peter Gracie is the one that's in charge of this is Jamaica.
Yes, oh yes.
He's a male figure, so
Mhm.
there you go. So I'm gonna get with Mr. Gracie. Say, Mr. Gracie, now you need to go down there in the schools and speak to some of them young boys. Let them see that you are the poet,
Yes. Mhm.
because he is the poet, isn't he?
Yes, yes, yes. He is the poet, and I mean, also has written so much, so many poetries.
Yeah.
Has written so much, and
Hmm.
I gotta since we're talking about him, I always have to big up Mr. Gracie.
Yes. Yeah.
Since becoming a part of this organization, I've learned so much from him, and
Hmm.
learned so much about him as well, and seen how many different hats he really wears. He's knows about music, about production, about videography, poetry, you know, all sorts of things, and actually such a creative man. And as you said, Pastor Rob, I think, as the young men see him and see
Yes,
also, he's part of the Diaspora Council, just see the many things that he has
yes,
done. It really, and where he's coming from, right? To see that, hey, I'm coming from the same place, and I can look at
yes,
this man and see as much as
yes.
he's accomplished. So I think he really is a great role model for these young gentlemen in Jamaica.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Go in person and see them, and I think it'll be great for them to see that, hey, we could do this.
Yes.
There's a place for us here.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of time guys feel like isn't is this cool? Are we supposed to be doing poetry? Uh,
Yeah.
Even as a young boy in Jamaica, Titchfield, I did a lot of poetry while I was there.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, yeah. When I in my first farm, second farm, I used to love poetry. We used to get up and recite the Banana Man, the
Mhm.
song of the Banana Man.
Yeah.
My God, and this big right hand. Yeah, so those were, yeah, yeah. So it's in our culture,
Yeah.
and they might have gotten away from it with the younger generation, but older generation, and I'm calling myself an older. I'm not dating myself, guys, but I'm calling myself an older.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
We used to do poetry. We used to do poetry when they had those festival poetry contests that went around the
Mhm.
country. You used to have schools that entered in. Then
Mhm.
boys used to enter too. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Girls used to enter and boys used to enter. So yeah, we should definitely get some boys this year.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we're working on it. And as we're talking about that too, to discuss even um, you know, to your point, sometimes I thought you brought up a great point. We said sometimes boys or young men don't know, is this cool?
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
this what men do? They're
Yes.
growing up. Is this what a man does? And I
Yes.
think also why this is Jamaica is also such a necessary organization, especially at this time, is because we're seeing that a lot of young men are joining gangs. They're joining different things that are leading them astray. They're turning to the streets. They're turning to crime, to violence, and such great young men that are turning to the wrong things. And poetry and creative arts is can be that avenue that can guide them and say, hey, you don't have to, just because you hear the rappers singing about this, or just because you hear the artist singing this, or you see this on TV, this doesn't have to be your story. It doesn't have to be what your life is. And I think it is. That's why I'm so proud to be a part of this organization, is because it's something that it,
Mhm.
it it may be just that little seed that is planted in a young man or a young woman's heart
Mm.
that can blossom them into an amazing young person, to see, hey, there's something of quality in you. It may be different from what you're seeing on social media. It may be in a different creative aspect than what you think is the right way to do something, but it's still valuable. You matter. You are of value.
Yeah.
So it's we're definitely looking forward to having more young men. And I'm looking forward to a great competition this year. The last year, I mean, I was so amazed by the talent, so amazed by the age range. We do have a large age range. Our age range
Hmm.
is from 6 to 17.
Hmm.
So, excuse me, we do have a large range, but I like that. I think it also breaks that barrier, for a young person to say, hey, maybe I can go up against this older person, and I can still win. I believe Marcia Dale, our current ambassador, I believe she's
Yes.
9 years old.
Yes. Yes. Not
So
right.
yeah, we don't discriminate, all ages.
Yeah.
We just want kids to know that their creative potential, and also to embrace this culture that they have, and to keep it going. To keep it going.
That's good. And I see you have one of our Jamaican explosion persons working over there with you now.
Yes, we are, and she's, a big shout out to Miss Nadine. She I got to big her up real quick because she has come on board
Yes.
and she is just taking the bull by the horns, and she is just so involved. She's so passionate, and that's what we're so happy to have her. She has been offering ideas. She has been thinking outside of the box, and that's what we want. We love that people are passionate about it, and so we just shout her out. She's so awesome. I'm looking forward. We're supposed to actually, I think, be linking up sometime during this month. So I'm so excited to meet her in person, as I was blessed to meet you, Pastor Rob, in person, which is so awesome.
Yeah, that was good. And you might not know it, but Adriana has her own little gospel program there, and I enjoy listening to you. And she's a lady of the spirit. I'm telling you, I love what you're doing.
Thank
And
you.
you are such a role model for young folks,
Amen.
and you're right where you belong. This is Jamaica, but we also want to give you kudos on your show that you have a brand new show. Tell us a little bit about it before we have the Strength to Breathe come on here.
Yes, and thank you so much for that, those kind words. Yes, it's a program called Happy Hour, and it's not anything about drinks or liquor or anything. It's actually the quite opposite. It's a gospel program, and essentially, I love singing as well, so I have to
Yeah,
incorporate that. So I usually start off every episode singing a different song or a different hymn that's come into my spirit that I just believe will bless someone.
mm,
And I usually have guests on different. I've been able, so honored to have interviewed such people as Jermaine Edwards. 2 weeks ago, I had Mr. Noel Willis from the Grace Thrillers, and Miss Deborah Earhart, who is a playwright. She came to Central Florida and she did "Look What Fell Out the Mango Tree."
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, so I've been blessed to be able to speak to such influential people like that, and I usually try to come on and just share a little word. That's really the main part of it. The Holy Spirit has just pressed me to you know, do a show that encourages people through the word of God, because that's how I encourage myself. So I can't say anything that I haven't been encouraged by, and I know, especially in this world that we're living in now, there's so much peril and there's so much to be sad about, and people need, people are looking for real joy. They're looking for love. They're looking for peace. And, many people are looking in the wrong places. And we need to start looking to God. We need to start looking back to the word for love, for peace, for hope. So I'm grateful to Jamaicans.com. That's where it airs every Friday night at 7. I'm so grateful to them for that opportunity to even be able to share the gospel on such a platform like that. And of course, Mr. Peter Gracie has helped me to be able to get on that slot. So I'm just very grateful. So thank you so much for even tuning in and supporting it.
Yeah,
I've seen the comments, so I'm really appreciative. So yeah, I just give God all the glory for all that He's done in my life, even for what I'm doing it with music. Oh, sorry. A last thing I'll say about This Is Jamaica, actually, concerning I'll just drop. I'll put the bug in everyone's ear. Just to look out. I actually did a song of the
yeah.
poem. I recorded This Is Jamaica in a musical version, so
Really?
that should be soon. Soon, it's soon come. Let's just say that.
Yeah, so come.
It's soon come.
All right, all right. Looking forward to that, Adriana. And there's many great things in store for you. This is just the beginning for you.
Amen. Amen.
And you started to preach to the preachers, and now the preacher got to preach to you.
Yes, yes. Amen. I receive it. I
You
receive it.
receive it. This is only the beginning. God got great things in store for you. Okay, so keep on
Amen.
doing what you're doing, and good luck. We'll be back next week with another segment of This Is Jamaica. Adriana Clark, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jamaican Explosion, Pastor Rob and Mrs. Yvette. Thank you so much. God bless you both. Have a great night.
You as
You're
well.
welcome. Thanks for being here, Adriana.
My pleasure. Take care. And big up, This Is Jamaica. Boop, boop.
Ah,
All right. Good night.
good night
Good
now.
night.
Okay. Yes, Yvette. Yes. Wow. Wow. Beautiful. here in Atlanta. I just came back from Daytona, and I must say I brought my grandson and his friend, and every morning was 45 degrees to 50 degrees. So yeah, I might
I
have to
thought
cut out
Florida
the
would be cooler.
I might have to cut out the Florida thing and go straight to Jamaica because yeah,
We
I'm
probably needed to go a little further south.
yeah. But I always go down to Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach a lot of times. This time I thought I would try Daytona because when my boys were younger, that was a good place to Disneyland and the different that's just for kiddies and so forth like that. But boy, the cool is it. But
Guess we could have
anyways,
stayed here in Atlanta.
well, no, they enjoy. They enjoy themselves. I took them to all different kind of stuff, bowling, different things, indoor stuff that they enjoyed. It's good to bring the boys out and spend time with with the the young teenage boys.
Okay.
It's always good to have that going. All right, so we have none other than coming up in a second is Nancy Fong Edwards, and she's gonna be wow. She is another one of those what I call heavyweights. And it's always good to have her, and she's representing the strength to breathe today. Let's welcome to the Jamaican Explosion stage one more time. Not a stranger to us, but Miss Nancy Fong Edwards. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good
Good
evening.
evening. Good evening.
Nice to meet you, Miss Reynolds.
Nice meeting you as well.
Yes. So Nancy, how are things with you?
It is great, Pastor Shaw. Thank you for having me again.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to have you here, and always, wow, what a topic! Raising awareness on National Minority Health Month. So, until I saw that from you, I did not realize that this month here, April, that's
Mhm.
National Minority Health Month. Speak to us a little bit about that.
I'm so happy to talk about that topic today because it's such a problem in, not just in the States, but pretty much everywhere.
Hmm.
As and I'm glad they have a month for that. It should be every day because being in the healthcare industry for over 20, 25 years, I have witnessed it firsthand. Myself has been in it before.
Hmm.
So it is a good topic and we really need to spread awareness. As you know, I'm all about educating the public, educating everyone as to what to expect in these situations. Now, healthcare disparities among minority groups,
Yeah.
it's a really important issue. And if you have ever been to the hospital before, I'm sure you've felt a little bit of, you know, lack of, to say the
Mm.
least. We are not treated the same, no matter who we are. And the funny thing is, the experiences that I've had when I was in the hospital, it was like, okay, once they figure out who you were or
Mhm.
who you represented, things change a little bit.
Mhm.
But that's just one part of it. The bigger picture is that among minorities, there are a lot of issues that affects, you know, not just systemic racism, but there are a lot of issues such as time to go to the doctor. Some people don't have transportation. Some people don't have healthcare insurance. They're not educated on how to get these things.
Mhm.
There's stuff like, and of course, there's systemic discrimination. But education is one of the biggest thing.
Okay.
And if you're not educated on what to look for, what to expect, then if you don't know, you just don't know. So one of the things that I do, as you know, I'm big into educating, and I try to, teach everybody, whether it's a medical assistant student I'm teaching, nursing student. I always try to teach everybody, including my patients that I see every day, that I teach them what to expect out of the healthcare when they go, what to ask, what question, because The reality is they just don't know, and they're not treated the same. So when they go into like a doctor's office and they go for something, they just take what
Mm-hmm.
is given to them and move on with it, and that's it. So we have to be educated. And I will tell you one thing: when you have someone in the hospital, someone needs to be there with them.
Okay.
Someone
Someone like,
needs to be there who can ask the questions, who is not ill.
mm,
Because when you are sick and you're in a situation, you really can't even think.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been a nurse for 20 something years, and if I'm in the hospital, sometimes I don't even think, because you have fear and you have anxiety. So you're not even thinking the way you're supposed to think.
Mm-hmm.
So you need someone to be there with you in order to assist you and ask the correct questions. I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
Just this week, I had a patient. I saw the patient back in December, and she came in complaining of some GYN issues. I examined her. I didn't see anything, uh, wrong, other than maybe I needed to do some cultures. Did the cultures, send it out. There was some infection. We treated the infection, but she came back and she was complaining of bleeding again. And I said to her, we're going to do an endometrial biopsy, because she was 70 years old. And when she came in to do the biopsy, she was still having some of the same issues. And this time I did another exam on her, but I did a little bit more extensive exam because I was going to go and do a biopsy, and I found a tumor.
Mm-hmm.
When I found that tumor, it started bleeding, and this was a tumor in her cervix. I sent her directly to the hospital and asked her to, with a script, and tell her she needs to get a CAT scan or something of her pelvic. And she went to the hospital. They sent her back out and told her they didn't see anything.
Wow.
I called her and I followed up with her because I knew what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And she came back to the office. I gave her a script to go and get an MRI done. When she came back with the MRI 2 days later, she has greater than a 10 centimeter mass in her pelvic, which is most likely cancer. So we don't get the same treatment when we go into the hospital. Sometimes we have to be demanding and ask for these things.
So Nancy, how does the regular lay person know that we're not getting? What are some of the things that we should look that should raise a red flag that we're not getting the proper treatment? Because if we don't know, then we'll just accept anything.
All right. So this is what I will tell anybody, and I always tell this to patients, that you know your body better than any doctor. You live with your body for the last 40 years, 50 years. You know when something isn't right. And if you follow how you are feeling, they're going to tell you, oh, they don't see anything in the blood work. This is okay. Yada, yada, yada. But you know within yourself, this is not how I usually feel. This is not my normal self. Something is wrong. So you go and you get a second opinion, or you ask them to show you, what have you done to determine that? Because my normal is not the same as your normal.
That's correct.
And you have just seen me for the first time. You don't know if this is how I usually look. So, you have to know your body. And I'll tell you something that happened to me a few years ago. I was sick. I didn't know what was wrong with me. Honestly, I've been to every doctor there is. I've done all kinds of tests, and all of them came back normal. My symptoms range from migraines, constant migraines, joint pain. I had my skin was changing. My joint was hurting so bad. I felt like I thought I was going to die, because it felt like if I fell, I would have broken something and I wouldn't heal. I was just so sick. I had severe heartburn all the time. Just entire systemic issues I was having. And I've been to every doctor, and they all told me that they didn't see anything. They start telling me that I was depressed and something was wrong with me. And that's something that they usually say, that you're depressed and that's why you're having these symptoms, which could be an issue. However, some of the things that doctors aren't trained on are nutrition, which nutrition causes 90% of our problems. What we eat is what causes our health problems, right? And doctors aren't trained on those things. Most of the time, they're trained to treat a problem. So you have to learn how to not to create those problems and cause those problems. So what was happening to me is that I even went to university in Miami. A friend of mine, another physician, told me, go to Miami. This lady, she's the best. She's a Canadian doctor. I went there and she looked at me and she said, when she looked at all the tests, she says, I'm going to do a couple more tests so you can sleep at night and I can sleep at night. And I was very upset about that because I felt like she was just dismissing me. And I know how I was feeling. I know that I was having brain fog. I know that I was weak and tired all the time. My joints were hurting. I was constantly in pain. I knew what was happening. I had to do my own research and realize that I was allergic to gluten, something that I was eating every day. It was something as simple as bread that I was eating that was giving me all those symptoms. So you have to know yourself. You have to pay attention to yourself and know what's going on. Keep up. You can't just leave it to the people in the healthcare industry to tell you what's going on because they don't always have the answers. Sometimes you have to have the answers. So it's important that you as an individual, you as a patient, keep up with your health. You know when your screenings are supposed to be done. You know what their results are. I tell all my patients, come back and get your results if you can. Don't ever let anybody tell you that if you don't hear from me, it's okay. Don't ever let anybody tell you that. Many different reasons. People are so busy in doctor's office these days that they don't have time to call you back and tell you your results. The lab may not send you your results to the doctor, so she wouldn't know that your result didn't come back and you don't know what is there. You know, my aunt passed away a couple of years ago from cervical cancer, hence why I have the clinic in Montego Bay. She told me that her results was okay. It was good. Yeah. And so for me, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, she got her results and she doesn't have HPV. Her pap smear is normal. But yet, so she had stage 4 cervical cancer that took her life in about 90 days after diagnosis. So get your results in your hand. Keep a track of your results. Understand your body. Understand what's going on. And it sounds like a lot, but it's really not a lot. If you go to the doctor every year and you get your regular physical checkup, get a copy of your blood work so you can keep it. So you know when things are different. We have to educate the population on these simple things and how we are going to take care of ourselves.
I'm wondering though, are there workshops that are geared towards minorities, helping minorities recognize these disparities? So have you? I know you're down there in Montego Bay, but here in the United States, have you been around any down in Florida?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, a good friend of mine, the psychiatrist who came to Montego Bay and did that mental health day for us in Montego Bay, she has the Brain Love Foundation, and every month she puts on like a little symposium for the community. She speaks to different doctors and men's health, and this I believe it's on the I don't have the flyer or the 22nd, I believe, of April. She's going to have a urologist.
Okay.
The flyer, so maybe you can put it out because it's also on her podcast, which is the Brain Love podcast. And she has a urologist there, and they're going to be talking about everything men's health. You come, it's free. She get these things there. She get a lot of sponsors from different insurance companies. She puts them on. They're free. You go, you eat. But people, it is so hard to get people out sometimes. I've been putting it up on my page. You're gonna access urologist anything you need to know about men's health. You know, in our community, especially the Black people, Black men, they do not like to get their prostate checked. They do not like to get colonoscopies.
Yeah.
These are things that has to be done. So you need to be educated on them. So people are doing things in the community. And one of the things that I do, as you know, is to go around and try to teach the younger kids, especially in the high school, how important it is to take care of yourself. And I hope they may not remember anything I say, but if a few people get it, it means something for me.
But Miss Edwards, this is something that I always preach. Is meet people where they are, and I know for a fact that you find a couple of churches and you check with a couple of pastors, for example, and they'll open their doors in maybe even an hour after the service, that people could stay around, I'm just giving putting something out there.
out there. Yeah.
Sometimes people won't come to you, but with this kind of valuable information, uh, sometimes we have to go to the people.
Oh,
So yes, definitely, so
absolutely. And that's exactly what I do. Now,
yeah.
because I'm big into sexual health and HPV prevention, I do go into the high school to teach these younger kids that it's important to go and get vaccinated. Why do you need to be vaccinated? And I
Right.
try to speak to them on a level that they will understand, because
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense you go in there and you're speaking a lot of medical jargons that they don't understand. You have to get to, like you said, meet them where they are.
Yes, meet them where they are, yeah.
So in June as well, we're having what's called a healthy relation with the Kiwanis Club of Tamarack. We're putting that on in June as well. We're going to try to get some high schoolers and the whole community to come on out, and we're going to talk about different things, mental health. We're going to talk about women's health. The Kiwanis Club is all about children, so we're going to be talking about a lot of those things as well. So I'm doing a lot of different things, included with the Strength to Breathe,
Yes.
to get this information out there.
Okay.
You know,
Yvette, you got any questions that you'd like to put forward here?
So you are basically based in Florida, correct?
correct.
Okay. Well, I don't have a question per se, but I just want to say I appreciate what I'm hearing and what you're doing for the community. And, looking at the systematic things such as, the men not following up on their annuals and being afraid to do certain exams, and to ensure that you have someone at the hospital from time to time. Because right now we have in our organization a member who's in the hospital, and we find that it's vital for us to keep going to visit him so that the hospital staff sees that someone cares, and they have been giving him more attention now that more of us are going. So I appreciate your platform and what you're doing. So keep up that great and fantastic work.
Thank you. The thing too, I'm not trying to I worked in the hospital for a very long time as well, and the pressure that nurses and healthcare workers are under, it is kind of hard
Mhm.
sometimes, to if a patient is there, not it's easy to not pay that much attention, not willfully,
Mhm.
but because you have the pressure on to do so many different things, it happens. So if you're not there to let them know that, look, I am here and I need to know what's going on with my loved one, sometimes they do get overlooked inadvertently, because the healthcare workers work hard. We work hard. And some of us are there with the passion. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go to work every day, and I say work so everybody understands. But I get up and I do something I love to do. I don't feel like I'm getting up to go to work. I get up and do something I love to do. So I'm going with a passion, and I'm
Mhm.
treating every single patient that come across my office as I would treat my own child. So, it is important that we also understand that we as healthcare worker, we're not perfect, but most of us try to do our best. So with a little bit of education on the patient's part, I think that we can go a long way. And, I feel like I'm living in my purpose, and I feel like, God has shown me a direction to go out and help others.
Yeah.
And with the Strength to Breathe, I am hoping that I'll be in the schools soon in Jamaica to help set up this platform for mental health, because mental health is very important. Everything starts there. Because to tell you the truth, if your mental health isn't intact or at a good place, you don't care about anything else. Who cares about the prostate? Who cares about any blood sugar, blood pressure? Who cares about that? Nobody does. So it starts from your mental health, and with the children it starts from home. We have to teach our children
Mhm.
what's normal and what's not normal.
That's great. That's great.
Home is where it all starts.
I commend you, Miss Edwards, for what you're doing, and looking forward to if we could help in any ways. as far as I like the idea of getting to the schools down there, or even having a program that might even partner with some of the hospitals down there.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, because a lot of you can't take for granted that everyone that came through with a degree actually a piece of paper, so to
Mhm.
speak, actually knows about mental health and how to really relay it to those in the hospitals. Sometimes we have to go down from the diaspora and make our presence felt in the hospitals down there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said too, in Jamaica, unfortunately, our healthcare workers aren't treated to the most highest respect or paid. So they're all leaving where else, and it's we can't change the world, but we can one at a time. We can do something. We can help the people who needs it the most, and that's my mission, to try and educate as much people as I can, to even know how to help themselves, because sometimes you don't have to go to the hospital if you know what's going on, if you know how to treat yourself properly, if you know how to eat the proper food, if you know how to avoid certain food that's going to cause you to get sick, you
Mhm.
know then you won't need to go to the hospital. So education is key. Education is everything. It's paramount. As Black people, we suffer from high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, I mean, heart disease. Why? Because of our diet and what we eat. And unfortunately, some of us can't afford it. But if we can teach people how to go back to ground provision like we used to back in the days in Jamaica, you know, we will be okay. Teach them one at a time. Everybody now is depending on processed food. This is what's killing us. And
Mm,
I don't know when was the last time you went to Jamaica, but it's not the Jamaica we're used to back in the days. Everybody's eating the fast food and the processed food, and that's what's causing so much issue.
yeah. They have been a step away from natural fruits, and
Mhm.
the farmers suffer.
They do.
The agricultural part of Jamaica suffer from that. That's a good topic. I might have to book you down there in the diaspora conference. 'Cause that-
I'd like to make it there. I do have plans to come down.
yes,
Yeah, it is important.
let them know what this processed food is actually doing to us, because they might see it on TV, or they something that's has spread from the United States and Europe down in Jamaica now, because we used to pride ourselves on having the best natural fruits and our thing nice, and but now everybody down there, is it the younger generation or what?
I was walking in Montego Bay the other day and I saw American apple, $2 for one. I didn't see Jamaican apple anywhere. And I'm like, $2 for this? And that's what is being sold there. And of course, it's American apple. So,
Yeah.
people are going to spend their money and buy it just because. But, it is important that we teach people how to get back to the basics. My great grandmother lived to 96. She broke her hip after 13 kids. And that's why she died. She didn't have sugar, flour, or rice.
Mm, mm,
And most of what she ate was, natural food
yeah.
and what she planted in her backyard. So we have to teach people that, it is not as hard as we make it.
Okay.
It can be better.
Very good. Very good. So, Miss Edwards, thanks for coming uh, onto Jamaican Explosion. And it's always great when you come with these topics, and we definitely want to witness some of these programs that you speak about in action. So we want to get them on tape so we could see some footage of. I think last year my wife, who is a nurse, director of nursing, they went to Jamaica and brought a small little group down there and did a little thing in St. Catherine. And the folks just ate it up. They were able to do eye exams and dental exams and so forth like that. So those are the footage that I'm looking to see, and it's so needed. It's so needed, and it's so
I have footage.
Yeah,
I have footage from some of the stuff that I've done, but I'll put them together and send you a few. But
yeah,
it's definitely needed, and I'll make sure that you get to see what we do because it's important to show the viewers as
yeah,
well what
yes.
we do, not just talk about it, but let them see what we're doing.
And a very interesting subject today: disparities among racial and ethnic minorities. But we are responsible for ourselves. That's what I got from it. We are responsible. We are first and foremost responsible for our own health, and we should take that responsibility very, very serious. Can't rely on everybody else to do it for us, And we should know what we're looking for when we go there. Bring someone with you if you're too sick, so that they could listen and so forth.
Advocate for you.
Yeah. So thanks for stopping by, and looking forward to another episode with you at some other time. And looking forward to being down there in Montego Bay and coming by one of your clinics just to check it out. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me as usual. Nice meeting you, Miss Reynolds.
Okay.
Nice
Until
meeting
next
you
time.
as well. And thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Until next time. Okay.
Bye.
All right, Yvette. That kind of does it for us on this episode here of Jamaican Explosion. And we hope that you get a chance to come back and sit with us again in the near future.
Okay, Pastor Rob. Thank you. Thanks for having me here with you today.
Okay, all right. And that's all we have, folks. Thanks for stopping by and tuning in this evening. And we'll see you next week on Jamaican Explosion. Pastor Rob and Miss Yvette Taylor
Read about
Reynolds.
the elderly. The ghettos got me worried. Read about the brothers and the sisters. It's got me worried. Read about you and me. And elder talk to her daughter. Daughter started to gossip. I come from school like one with Brutus in a bus. Regardless of all education.